It's hard to picture Noah building an ark in the middle of the desert. I mean, it's not like he could trailer this thing up and haul it to the lake on the weekends. And what did the neighbors think? My name is Tom Miller. I serve as pastor of a church called Central Assembly in northwest Wisconsin in a city known as Superior. This is Fuel for the Fire, volume 839, Float Your Boat. The job was massive. I'm sure he knew absolutely nothing about building a ship 1/3 the size of the Titanic. This was an epic task that would take Noah decades to complete. I'm sure it was overwhelming, but he had God to walk him through it. It was like the original YouTube tutorial. And Noah was smart enough to follow directions. Genesis 6:22 says, "Thus did Noah according to all that God commanded him, so did he." You see, it mattered how Noah constructed and assembled the ark. After all, he needed it to float. The ark needed to be able to withstand wind and rain and waves and storms. And it needed to stay afloat for over a year. This had to be done right. This was complicated. And this was big, 500 feet long, 85 feet wide, and 50 feet high. We're talking about some 2 million square feet of boat. If he wanted this thing to float, he needed to follow directions. It was very detailed. The dimensions were specific. He was to apply pitch not just to the outside, but also to the inside. Just 5 verses into chapter 5, the Bible says, "And Noah did according unto all that the Lord commanded him." That's strikingly similar to Genesis 6:22. The repetition reminds us it was important Noah did it God's way. Well, what about life? Should we follow God's directions? I mean, we embark on some pretty significant undertakings too. A relationship with someone of the opposite sex? That's a big deal. Marriage? Shouldn't we let God lead the way? What about a job or buying a house or moving? Do we follow the Lord, or do we make a decision and then ask Him to bless it? And then we wonder why it sinks like a stone. If we want our marriage to float, if we want our job to weather the storm, and if we want to navigate all the ups and downs of life, we need to have constructed our lives God's way. Thus did Noah, according to all that God commanded him, so did he. Following God's directions is the best way to float the boat of your life. That's the way I see it. And that's a little fuel for the fire. And remember, I love you guys.